एष देवो विश्वकर्मा महात्मा सदा जनानां हृदये सन्निविष्टः। ॐ सहना भवतु।
ॐ सहना भवतु।
सहनौ भुनक्तु।
सहनौ भुनक्तु।
सह वीर्यं करवावहै।
सह वीर्यं करवावहै।
तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु।
तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु।
मा विद्विषावहै।
मा विद्विषावहै।
ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः।
ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः।
ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः।
ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः।
Yesterday we were doing 1.3.12 Esha Sarveshu Bhuteshu. You should not forget the fundamental principle here, that after explaining about the Atma, they are talking about how to discover our own self. And there they have given a sequence from the grossest things to the subtlest things, and finally transcending the gross and subtle comparativeness, which is the real sukshma in this case, the real subtlety in spirituality. We have to reach the Atma. There, from sthula or gross to sukshma karana, we are following a causality where everywhere we are moving from the effect to the causal level, from the gross to the subtler level. That is what we were discussing. But going up to the Mahat Tattva, we said the cosmic intelligence. Beyond that, there is no further ego or creation or individuality. Even the Brahma has got an individuality. The concept of Brahma, the model of Brahma, that has an individuality. He takes ahankara in the Mahat Tattva, that he is identifying, the consciousness there is identifying with the cosmic intelligence. But beyond that, there is no division, nothing, where we reach the Purusha, which is divisionless. Even the subject-object division is not there. We have to transcend that division. So in going from gross to the subtle, we have to remember that initially it is from the karya to the karana, from the effect to the cause, but finally we have to transcend. It is karanatita, because by causal chain we cannot reach this absolute. I have discussed yesterday also. Because the question will be there, then who has created that? By definition itself, if there is any absolute, it has to be beyond causality. And I have showed that how it is the consciousness which is the substratum on which the whole universe is appearing to be. It is not the cause of the universe in the usual material causality sense. Consciousness is not becoming the universe. It is not that it is made of the material called consciousness. Consciousness can never be detected as an object. You can never know consciousness. Yes, consciousness has become the world like this. No. Consciousness is something to be known only as the amness in us. That does the prakasha, that reveals, that illuminates everything in the outer sphere as well as the inner sphere. It is revealing the external universe as well as the internal thoughts, emotions. Sukha, dukkha, everything is finally revealed by that. This fundamental note we should always remember, otherwise, the Shastras will become confusing. It is not the Sukshma in the objective sense. Now, I had discussed it, we will discuss again that last verse we did. Let us chant once. 1.3.12. Esha sarveshu bhuteshu
एष सर्वेषु भूतेषु
गूढोत्मान प्रकाशते
गूढोत्मान प्रकाशते
दृश्यते त्वग्रया बुद्ध्या
दृश्यते त्वग्रया बुद्ध्या
सूक्ष्मया सूक्ष्मदर्शिभिः
सूक्ष्मया सूक्ष्मदर्शिभिः.
He says this Atma is there in everything, in everybody. But it is gudhaha, it is hiding, it is secret. Na prakashate. It cannot be seen by the perceived by the senses. It cannot be even inferred by the ordinary buddhi, intellectual buddhi. Why? Because ordinarily we will look at everything with our subject-object difference. We will try to analyze everything in the objective sense, considering consciousness also an object. So we fail finally. That is why it is not becoming apparent to people. Then how? Then is it not to be known? No, it has to be. It will be known. How? Drishyate tu agraya buddhya sukshmaya sukshmadarshivi. Here the most important point is buddhya. By the buddhi. That means it is not a perception of the senses. You cannot be perceived by the senses. And Atma, we generally we think of two kinds of perception. One is the pratyaksha, another is the paroksha. Pratyaksha means directly perceived by the senses, and paroksha means which is inferred. I have not seen, but some of the signs, seeing the smoke, we inferred that there is a fire. These are inference. Now, it is a knowledge about the Atma, so it cannot be an inferred knowledge. We are reading the Shastras and saying that Shastras say that this is what the Atma is. But I have not known. It is Atma means this is what I am. So when we are knowing from the Shastras, it is a paroksha knowledge. Shastras are telling it is a paroksha knowledge. I am knowing from the Shastras that this is what my real identity is. But until I become that, I experience that real identity, it will remain a paroksha knowledge. Now, when we experience that, it is neither pratyaksha nor paroksha. So we have coined a new term called aparoksha, which is a direct perception. For example, even that I am, it is also in a way aparoksha, because I cannot be seen by any of our senses. But I is not an inference. You know that you are. We know that we are. I know that I am. Even if it is proved by some logic that I am not, nobody is going to accept it. So it's a direct knowledge of us that I am. Actually, that I am also is aparoksha, although we don't generally use it. We use in the sense when we discover our real identity, and that perception we call it aparoksha. Because although the buddhi is used initially to analyze, the whole study of the Shastras is actually not to get the knowledge of the Atma from the Shastras. It is to undergo a transformation of the mind, intelligence, personality. The reading of the Shastras, study of the Shastras should always be comparing with ourselves. And we have to always look within. We call it introspection. So reading should be less. More should be the introspection, rumination, comparing with our behavior, comparing with our mindset, what the Shastras are saying. Am I that? Is my mind thinking in that manner? Have I understood this? So it will be more of an introspection than reading. And by that what happens? Our buddhi starts becoming sukshma and sukshma, becoming subtler and subtler. Normally when we say subtle, in the gross level, it means a fraction of the gross. Is it not so? Suppose atom, it is a fraction of the solid object you are seeing. When you break the solid object, finally we say that molecule or atom. That means it is a fraction of the gross object. Suppose you have a microscope with which you can see the minutest particle now. Now, if you develop a more powerful microscope, as they develop later on electron microscope and others, you can see, go further beyond whatever you were seeing earlier, you can go further beyond, but that is again the fraction of the gross object. Do you understand? But in this case, it is not a fraction of the gross object. It is the revealer consciousness which is revealing gross as well as the subtle. The grossest object as well as the subtlest. The gross is a concept of the consciousness. The subtle also is a concept in the consciousness. God is a concept in the consciousness. Brahman also is a concept in the consciousness. Then what do we do? Why do we do it? Because the more and more we study about the truth, about the Atma, about the Brahman, we call it Brahmakara Vritti or Atmakara Vritti. Akara. See, this akara again we have to understand very subtly. Normally we say that it is rectangular. The book is rectangular. This is an akara. But in the inner level, when the whole spirituality is to deal with the inner aspects, there this kind of akara is not so important. There also you are having the visions and all, they have akara. But what is the akara of sukha? What is the akara of dukkha? It is not an akara like that. But that is that vritti or formation in the consciousness, the sukha vritti, dukkha vritti, we call sukhakara vritti, dukkhakara vritti. That is, akara is of a sukha, akara is of a dukkha. So it need not be the geometrical akara. We have to go to further and further abstraction to understand that everything is akara there. Any formation in the consciousness, any form in the consciousness, any concept in the consciousness is akara. So, more and more we study about the truth, about the Brahman, about the Atma, we perfect our concept about that Atmakara Vritti or Brahmakara Vritti. By that, what we do is we remove the ignorance about the truth. It is not that the Brahmakara Vritti is explaining the Brahman to you. It is not so. The Brahmakara Vritti is dealing and removing the ignorance about Brahman. When the ignorance is removed by the knowledge, Vidya removes avidya, then whatever remains, that is the ultimate truth or Brahman. That cannot be expressed, that cannot be written, there cannot be any words, nothing can reach there because it is transcendental. Do you get it? So here when we are saying agraya buddhya, agraya means which has been sharpened. How do you sharpen a buddhi? The subtlety of a buddhi, sharpness of the buddhi, how do you measure it? You cannot measure it like a gross object. You measure it by the abstraction it is able to do, by its work, by its action. When the buddhi, suppose a buddhi is able to grasp the initial theories or so, say physics, Newtonian physics, everybody is able to grasp easily. But when it is relativistic, they are not able to grasp. That is, the buddhi is not able to become subtle. By ruminating on the relativistic theories, finally when you are able to grasp it, you can say that your buddhi has become subtler than it was. But these are all objective subtlety, thinking of gross objects like this. Here the subtlety is regarding how to get to that revealer which is beyond causality, beyond time, beyond space, beyond all forms. To grasp that is the power of is the subtlety of the buddhi involved. So the agraya means sharpened. This sharpening has to be done by the study of the shastras or rumination of the truth. You can say meditation also, provided you use the meditation for that purpose. If you just sit tight and have some bliss or this or that, then it will not be. You have to ruminate on it. Whatever is happening in the meditation, you have to think about it. You have to find out the reason what is happening, where am I standing, where am I supposed to go, what is the result of the meditation. When we do that, then the buddhi undergoes a sharpening. It becomes subtler and sharper also. So he has not left with only agraya. He said agraya buddhya sukshmaya sukshmadarshivhi. It is not the sukshmadarshivhi means you are given an electron microscope and you see the subtle things. No. A person who has sharpened and made his intelligence sukshma. In this sukshma, as I said earlier, it is basically the making the intelligence and the mind free of desires, free of raga-dvesha. The intelligence to become subtle, it has to know everything. When it is explained, it has to grasp everything as that. Why are we not able to grasp? Because our mind is holding on to the reality of the small things. Why it is holding on to the reality of the small things? You look into your mind, it is basically a desire that I will get some ananda from this thing or that thing, this gain or that gain, which is absolutely redundant. It's a falsehood. The ananda, the source of ananda is within us. It is not outside. When the desire, the disturbance of the desire, disturbance caused to the mind by the desires, they subside. Suppose you are intensely wanting something and that you get, then you get greater joy. More intense will be the joy in that case. Why do you get it? Because of the intensity of the desire, you had forgotten all other things. Everybody will have such experience. When you are intensely looking for something, small thing, you will even forget food and drink also sometimes. When you are intensely looking for something. So all other desires are kept away. So the mind is reasonably one-pointed with your desireful gain object. It is focused on wherever our intense desire is. It is looking for that. The moment that is fulfilled, the mind becomes desireless. That desire has been fulfilled, intense desire. So other small desires have not got the time to come and cloud your mind. So the mind has become reasonably peaceful and free for some time. So the joy experienced is more. Actually the joy is not coming from the object you had been thinking that by getting that I will become blissful. By getting that, the desire gets subsided and other desires have not come to jam pack your mind. So naturally whatever bliss is there in you, that is our natural spontaneous bliss of our soul, which is always there. We are missing it because of our disturbed mind. It is just like the wavy nature of the surface of the tank is not allowing you to see the depth of it. The muddiness of the water is not allowing you to see the depth. When it is clear and there is no wave, you can see the depth. It is like that. When the mind becomes settled, it becomes peaceful. Then the joy which is oozing forth, which is welling forth from our inmost self, that becomes experientiable. But we think that we have got joy from there. So the Shastras make us think and think and think. Is it so? You think. Suppose you are standing before a sea and you get so joyous, the vastness of the sea. So you think that the joy lies in the scenery, in the sea or mountain or sky, the joy lies there. But the moment in that state, you get a news that you have lost all your property or lost the closest person or anything of that, some calamity has taken place. Immediately you have lost the joy, your mind collapses. The sea is still in front, the sky is still in front. If the scenery was giving you the joy, then it should give the joy even then. This is how we have to argue, we have to inquire that it is not giving. So what had happened when I saw the sea for the first time? Again, all other small things had subsided. The vastness of the sea, sudden vision of that made my mind vast. And the joy we got is from the expansion of the mind. The soul is infinite. So the closer we go to the soul property is expressed through our mind. When our mind becomes like the soul, more and more like the soul, more and more the bliss of the soul we are able to experience. When the mind becomes vast, we experience the joy of the soul. When the mind becomes loving, all-embracing, we experience the love and the corresponding joy of the soul. When the mind becomes unaffected, remains unaffected in the greatest calamity also, we get the joy of the unaffectedness of the soul. So by everything, wherever the mind is coming closer and closer to the soul, we are getting The properties of the soul we are enjoying, the joy of the soul we are experiencing. Sukshmadarshivihi, I was saying. So, it is a process of refining the mind and buddhi by the constant thought of the truth, analyzing the world in a truthful way with our viveka buddhi. Viveka buddhi means discriminatory buddhi, which always distinguishes between the real and the unreal. By constantly applying that, and you will not be able to apply unless the sattva guna is increased. That you should know. Suppose I am guided by rajoguna and tamoguna, then such viveka buddhi will not work in us. Let us understand that. That is why Bhagavad Gita has emphasized so much on these three gunas. That unless our personality by our food, ahara means not only through the mouth, through the eyes, through the ears, whatever inputs we are taking, unless they are made sattvika, they are converted into sattvaguna, we will not be able to, the viveka buddhi in us will not be very active, not be functional. We will always have the fragmented, desire motivated vision of the produced by the rajoguna, and always a resistance produced by the tamoguna. So, to have the viveka buddhi always functional, we have to make our being sattvik. For that sattvika, for that all the inputs we are taking have to be properly refined. Everything we are taking in should be sattvika. Then automatically our viveka buddhi will become more active and it will be able to ruminate and apply. We can apply the viveka buddhi everywhere, and we will start getting our intelligence, the intelligence as well as the mind will become purer and subtler, being able to grasp the truth more and more. This is what is meant by sukshmaya sukshmadarshivihi. Those who have cultured their vision into subtler vision. Now this vision is not of the senses. It is of the buddhi, buddhya. This word is very important. Drishyate tu agraya buddhya. It is a vision of the buddhi. In Bhagavad Gita also, yesterday I said that word used is ikshana. Ikshana means it is a vision of the buddhi. He sees the samatva, he sees the atma everywhere with the ikshana, the vision of the buddhi. So if somebody says that I will only do some yogasana or some japa and I will have the knowledge, it is foolish, because the knowledge, fundamentally the knowledge has to rise in our bodha, from which the buddhi is coming. It is not the intellectual knowledge, but the bodha, the buddhi has to understand it. The revelation must take place in the buddhi. So it is a process of the buddhi being made pure by removing the raga-dvesha and desires, and buddhi being made sharpened by constantly ruminating, introspecting about the truth. So it is a vision of the buddhi. In Viveka Chudamani also, I think it is verse number 360. Verse number 360 in Viveka Chudamani. You may not have, but you can note down. Ativa sukshmam paramatma tattvam na sthula buddhya pratipattum arhati. Ativa sukshmam paramatma tattvam na sthula buddhya pratipattum arhati. Samadhina atyanta susukshma vrittina. Samadhina atyanta susukshma vritya Nyatavyam aryaihi atishuddha buddhibhihi. I think I am correct here. It is not written fully. It is 360th verse of Vivek Chudamani. Ativa sukshmam paramatma tattvam. This paramatma tattva, the truth, the essence of this, our real identity, the paramatma, is extremely subtle. Na sthula buddhya pratipatyam arhati. It cannot be grasped by a gross intellect, gross intelligence. Samadhina atyanta susukshma vritya. By the help of samadhi, where we take recourse to extremely subtle vritti, that is, initially it is the brahmakara vritti, which will remove the ajnana, the ignorance about the truth. Samadhina atyanta susukshma vritya. It is extremely subtle vritti. Why? It has to express the ultimate revealer of everything. Jnatavyam aryaihi. It becomes known to the Arya. Arya means the cultured people, those who have completely refined themselves, those who have removed their raga-dvesha, removed their selfishness, smallness, ego, etc. They are called Arya. Arya is a great term. We have wrongly utilized it for racial. The historians have done it. It's a mistake. You can see into the Bhagavad Gita, we can look into the Upanishads also. Arya is used for the cultured people. That is what Arjuna was also addressed as Arya. It is not a racial connotation. It doesn't have racial connotation. Anybody who has refined his mind and intelligence and body to the level that he can understand the truth, who is become recipient of the truth, becomes an Arya. So, jnatavyam aryaihi atishuddha vrittivihi, atishuddha buddhivihi. By their extremely subtle intelligence, they come to know, they come to realize this truth. This is Vivekachudamani is saying. In Bhagavad Gita also 6th chapter 21 verse, he is saying, Sukham atyantikam yattad buddhigrahyam atindriyam. 6th chapter 21st verse. Sukham atyantikam yattad. It's the atyantika sukha. But the moment it is said sukha, we will think that it is indriya sukha. As usual, we are given to indriya sukha. He says, Sukham atyantikam yattad buddhigrahyam atindriyam. It cannot be sensed by the indriyas. It is transcending the sense perceptions. So if we buy sukha, we will always have that sukha, we will be happy with the senses and all. No. That is atindriya. It is transcending the indriyas. And buddhigrahyam. It has to reveal itself in the buddhi, the origin of our intellectual buddhi, the bodha. It has to shine there. That sukha shines there. Suppose it is a sky-like feeling inside or a spatial feeling. Normally that is happened with the sadhaka progressing in this field. When the mind becomes free of raga-dvesha, we call it prasada, a placidity feeling of the mind. It will be there in dukkha as well as sukha. There is suffering, but even then he will not lose the prasada, the sky-like spatial feeling within. Can you call it that it is indriyagrahya? It cannot be sensed by any of the indriyas, but it is there within. You will be feeling it. It is experiential. Experiential to what? That is what say it is a bodha. It is coming to the intelligence is revealing it. Not the functional intelligence, but the fundamental foundation of the intelligence from where the intelligence is rising. That bodha is revealing that sky-like feeling within us. See, in Shvetashvatara also, right in the beginning, you will find it starts with that the students of Brahma Vidya, they are discussing that where from we have arrived, where from the world has arisen, what is the goal of our life, what is the fundamental truth in us. Is it the time? Is it the space? Is it the causality? Is it the providence? Is it the chance? Or is it I in us, which is the revealer of everything? I means the normally the egoistic I we know of. Without that, nothing in the world we will know. So that is the fundamental basis which remains permanent in all the temporary changing futile things. So is it that I? Then they are discussing, no, it cannot be, because that I is getting affected by sukha dukkha. It is also changing because of sukha and dukkha. So how can I call that the I is the fundamental there? So they could not find out by their intellectual argument, their discussion and all, where lies the truth then. So Shvetashvatara Upanishad says, Te dhyana yoganugata apashyan devatma shaktim swagunair nigudham. It's a great statement, just one line. What did they do? Te dhyana yoganugata apashyan. They took to dhyana yoga. Following that principle, they saw. Now, naturally, you are expected to know what is the purpose of a dhyana we are doing, the meditation they took. It is for discovering the truth. And what is the yoga they are looking for? They have to know that it is the ultimate yoga. We may start with the physical yoga, pranayama, etc. But the purpose of all yoga is one only. What is that? We have artificially created an egoistic I, different from our real identity. When that wrong I, the small I, gets merged in the universal one transcendental I, that is the fusion, that is the yoga, when there is no second at all. That is the ultimate yoga. So, dhyana yoga means they undertook meditation to discover that where is that fusion taking place? Where am I attaining that yoga? So, they took to dhyana yoga anugata. They took to dhyana yoga. Anugata means following the discipline of dhyana yoga. Apashyan, it is a statement of fact. They saw. They are not saying that, oh, if you do, you will get that or so. Upanishads always have, they record the experimental discovery. The statements will be such that they saw, they found, like that. So they saw. What did they see? Devatma Shaktim Swagunair Nigudham. See, one word, Devatma Shaktim. Devatma Shaktim. They found the ultimate revealer of everything. Deva means Dibdhatu. It means the brilliance, the real brilliance. Sun is also to be revealed by the consciousness. So the real brilliance is not the sun. We often meditation, we think that the soul will arrive like 1,000 suns blazing in the... It is not so. That sun, we give the example, that is the going beyond the ignorance. Suddenly you feel that I have got the enlightenment. It is like 1,000 suns. It is not a visual sun that you will see in meditation rising up with lot of light and all. These misunderstandings come from our elementary various model projections in our shastras also. So, Deva means the ultimate revealer of everything, Divdhatu, brilliance. They discovered that. But where is that Deva, the ultimate revealer? Atma. That is his own self. They discovered, they saw, Apashyan, they discovered the revealer of everything, the ultimate brilliance, which is their own soul, Atma, where from the I is coming. It is not the I they were thinking earlier. They thought that the I which is getting sukha dukkha and changing always, it is not that I. But it is the real I, which is the source of, which is the revealer of everything. Shaktim. And that is the source of energy. The huge play of energy we are seeing in the whole universe. We cannot even imagine also. Not we are seeing. We never think of it. The kind of energy display in the whole universe. It is all taking place in that consciousness. Everything, whatever we know of, it is happening in our consciousness. Not only my body-mind. My body-mind is only a minute speck in that whole universe which is appearing in the consciousness. So it is at once, it is these three. It is the brilliance, revealer of everything. It is the source of the entire energy display, the whole universe. And it is the I, which I have always been thinking a small, puny I, getting changed in dukkha and sukha, getting depressed in dukkha and elated in sukha. Everything is there together, they discovered. Then why do we not see it? As Dipali was asking, then why do, if such is the consciousness we have, why don't we see it? Why? Swagunair nigudham. The gunas, the three gunas, which is the constituent of the Prakriti, the entire nature, entire creation, that is also coming from him. So it is Swaguna. That Purusha or the consciousness, the gunas are his gunas. Swagunair nigudham. By his guna, by his display of the universe, he has got hidden. He is displaying the universe. But our focus is always on the small things here. This I like, this I don't like. He is to be blamed, she is to be blamed. I will fight with him, I will love him. All those things. So that is why we are missing it. Swagunair nigudham. Yaha karanani nikhilani tani. Kalatma yuktani aditishthati ekaha. I hope I am correct. Yaha karanani nikhilani tani. He was thinking about the whole causality, whether that is the source or all. He says that all the causalities are a display in that. There is no causality there. The whole causal chain of the universe is a display on that consciousness. Yah karanani nikhilani, the universal causality. Tani, kalatma yuktani, where the kala, the time, space, everything is there. And that small atma, that is also there. All together are displayed in that. Yah karanani nikhilani tani kalatma yuktani adhitishthati. That ekaha, it is not multiple. All the karanani nikhilani tani, all these are plural, infinite in number. But this is ekaha, adhitishtati. All this what we are seeing, the space, time, matter, causality, all these are displaying on this substratum, adhitishthatyekam. It is like the substratum of all. It is not the cause, because there is no material creation. It is the substratum on which the whole display is taking. So to understand it, to grasp it, and finally to realize it, naturally it needs the sukshma buddhi. And dhyana yoga anugata pasyan. The buddhi, when it becomes pure, it is able to become one-pointed. As long as the buddhi is swayed by desires and raga-dvesha, it will not be able to become one-pointed. It will not be able to get to the truth. So it is not only sukshma buddhi, it is shuddha buddhi also. That is what Vivekachudamani added. Jnatavyamaryaihi atishuddha buddhibhihi. Atishuddha buddhibhihi. The Vivekachudamani has added further there. Now let us go to the next verse. Now this is again the actual procedure which is to be followed in meditation. Yachedvang manasi prajnah.
Yachedvang manasi prajnah.
Tad yached jnana atmani.
Tadyachet jnana atmani.
Jnanamatmani mahati niyachet.
Jnanamatmani mahati niyachet.
Tad yached shantatmani.
Tadyachet shantatmani.
Yachedvang manasi prajnah.
Yachedvang manasi prajnah.
Tad yached jnana atmani.
Tadyachet jnana atmani.
Jnanamatmani mahati niyachet.
Jnanamatmani mahati niyachet.
Tad yached shantatmani.
Tadyachet shantatmani.
We should not forget the model discussed yesterday, that how from the gross we are moving to the subtle. These are all utilized here in the actual procedure, practical method. This yached means merge. It means merger. That is completely dissolving. That is the sthula, the gross thing, has to be dissolved in the subtle, in the karana. The karya has to be dissolved in the karana. The sugar is formed, crystals have come out of the sugar solution. Again, you dissolve the sugar in the water. So you get back the karana of the sugar crystals, the solution there. It has to completely dissolve, get dissolved and merged. Like that, again further, like that. So yached means merger, dissolution. Here the sandhis are yached, vang manasi, vak manasi becomes vang manasi. This manasi, dirgha is a little strange here. It is called arsha prayoga, that wherever the meter is going, if normally it should have been rasva, manasi. But they have made it dirgha to keep to the meter. That is always allowed. We call it Vaidika prayoga or call it arsha prayoga. That the rishis are, whatever came, they have chanted. Prajnaha means a really wise, discriminating person. He is not here prajna is not a knower. Normally we will use it as a knower also. Here, naturally, because the prajna, for the prajna, this method is discussed. So we have to take the meaning as not, he has not become a knower, but he is practicing it, and he is wise enough to practice it. Tat yachet jnana atmani. Actually, this jnana atmani is jnane atmani, that a followed by a, so the ekar is dropped. It is saptami vibhakti, means in the atma called jnana, that means the buddhi, that earlier in the shloka they have already used jnana atma, it is the same thing. Then jnanam atmani mahati niyachet, then dissolve that in the mahat tattva. I am not going into the detail because already we have discussed these steps. Then tat yachet shanta atmani. This yachet and shanta together becomes yachet shanta. Actually, it is yachet shanta atmani. This shanta atmani is the last thing. This is the process. He says, a prajnaha, a really wise man who has ruminated enough, who has deliberated enough with his buddhi, manana, and finally has completely understood the truth. Now, what will he do? He will do nididhyasana, shravana, manana, nididhyasana. Shravana is listening to the truth from the Shastras or from a knower. Then we do manana, that means we apply our intelligence to argue it, to inquire about it, wherever I am not able to accept it, with yukti, with reason. Reasonally we try to assess it. That as long as it continues, we call it manana, because the buddhi will think about it. There is no oil like singular flow there. It is cut by every time a doubt coming in, you analyze again and you do it. It is called manana. When by manana we have completely become sure about the truth, that this is what my intellect, my intelligence has completely accepted, that this is the only truth. Then what happens? You no longer do the manana, no longer analyze it. You will not analyze it anymore. You will simply contemplate about the truth, and the truth is such that your all attention will be on that. By the process of manana, already you have developed this one-pointedness. Earlier I said it means eka tattva ghanabhyasa. Nididhyasana means eka tattva ghanabhyasa. The tattva, the truth is only one. It is not multitude. So naturally our mind, which was clinging to the multitude, clinging to infinite variety, the variegated world, that mind has left the variety and is focused on one. By manana, the mind has to withdraw from the variety and focus on the one on which the multiple is displayed. So that is the eka tattva ghanabhyasa. Why ghana? Because there is no interruption there. Constantly you are contemplating in that. The pinnacle of that is called the Nirvikalpa Samadhi, where this Shanta Atmani, the last point is coming, the end of the Nididhyasana, Yachet Shanta Atmani. This Shanta Atma, where there is no division, Shanta means there is no division, no energy, nothing, no Bheda. There you are finally getting merged. This merger is the ultimate merger, where you cannot see also further. There is no division at all. That I and I am knowing something, I am in Samadhi, that also is not there. There is no segregated I there. There only Atma and Atma alone. So that is called the Shanta Atma. That is the pinnacle of the Nididhyasana, which is the Nirvikalpa Samadhi. So it is a practical procedure, just in one verse they have given. Similarly, later on also we will find in Kathopanishad they are discussing the same thing in a different manner. Now here once more I will go through the meaning. Yachet vang manasi prajnaha. Prajnaha, the wise person, discriminatory person who has applied his full viveka buddhi. Now what does he do? He should dissolve his vak in the mind. Where the words are coming, are not the words coming from the mind? Yesterday I had discussed the same thing in an interactional sadhana. That is, in practically, what will you do? Do you remember that when you are having any wrong behavior or hurting behavior you want to correct, we try from the effect level, which doesn't work. So what do? You change your focus from the behavior to the mind, to the thoughts, which are expressing as behavior. It is exactly like that. You withdraw the vak, the words, into the mind. That means your focus is going inward from the words to the mind. The words getting dissolved in the mind to the subtler region. Then next step, what is happening? Yachet jnana atmani. That means the buddhi, jnana, buddhi is often called jnana also. That is where the revelation is taking place. The buddhi is superior to the mind. Earlier also we have studied. That mind has to be dissolved in the buddhi. Because the mind, the thoughts, they are all coming. Actually, they are made of the buddhi. From bodha only the mind is coming. If the bodha is not there, mind will not function. It will not be there. So the mind has to be dissolved in the still fundamental, more fundamental level where from the buddhi is arising. So that means what? The mind has to get dissolved. No thoughts further, nothing. Initially the words were getting dissolved in the mind. Now the thoughts are getting dissolved in the, as I said the other day, mindset, the fundamental block from where the radiation of the thoughts are coming. It has to go down to the intellect level, intelligence level. Jnanam atmani mahati niyachet. Now up to this buddhi level is your individuality is there. You are still the puny human being with your body, mind, personality, of which the buddhi, the veshti buddhi or the personal individual buddhi is concerned. That buddhi now you expand to the cosmic level of intelligence. That is, it is just like as we said in yoga, that ananta samapatti. You bring in infinitude in you, not infinity. Infinitude, bringing in infinitude means you lose all the limitations of our vyaktitva, of our personality. It is creating, segregating us from others. You have gone beyond that segregation. You have merged in the cosmic intelligence. But still you have the ego there also. It is the ego of a Brahma or the ego of the Hiranyagarbha, we say. That is the large, still that I is there. But further it will not be there. Further it will go beyond the I am knowing something and I am seeing something. That subject-object division, it has to transcend. Mahati niyachet. Tad yachet shantatmani. Now see, here they have eliminated the avyakta. The earlier in that sequence, Mahata was onto the Maya or the Para Prakriti, Avyakta Prakriti there. That part he has removed because you cannot concentrate on the Maya. I explained that Maya means it is not there. You can only, you cannot see the darkness by throwing light on it. When you throw light, the darkness is gone, you see the reality there. Like that, the cover is the ignorance or avidya or Maya, which is covering the real truth. If you want to see that, I want to see that, you cannot see it. When that is removed, when knowledge is brought, it removes the avidya. Vidya removes the avidya, and the truth is the Shanta Atmani. In Vedanta Sara, there is a verse, I think it is 996 of Sarva Vedanta Sara. 996 verse number. Tad vidya vishayam brahma satya jnana sukhatmakam shantam cha tadatitam cha param brahma taduchyate. It's a very good shloka. Tad vidya vishayam brahma satya jnana sukhatmakam. Vidya vishayam brahma. That means the Brahman we come to know through the knowledge, the Brahmakara vritti. That is called the Satchidananda. We generally refer to Brahma as Satchidananda, Guru Satchidananda. We are referring, it is a short of the reality. Sat means Satya, truth. Chit means jnana, same as that consciousness. Satya jnana sukhatmakam. Sukha means ananda. Satchidananda we say Sat, Chit, Ananda. Sat means which exists, which alone exists, which is the truth, which never becomes non-existent. Chit means the consciousness which expresses everything, reveals everything. And Ananda means the bliss of that. That is a natural bliss. So Satchidananda we refer to the truth generally. But that is the Vidya Vishayam Brahma. Actually, when we say neti neti, yan neti neti vachanair nigama avochu, the truth, it is na iti na iti. Even it is not Satchidananda. There actually is, by Sat we mean it is not Asat. By Chit we means it is not Jada or inert. By Ananda we mean that it is not Shoka. That's all. Neti, neti, neti. So Satchidananda is the just below the ultimate level of truth, which is called Shanta Atmani, Shanta Atma. Before that, that is the Param Brahma. Before that, you are knowing, coming to know of it through the Brahmakara Vritti, by expanding your mind and making it universal and all, you get such a lot of bliss, everything. Sukham atyantikam yattad buddhigrahyam atindriyam. That sukham also is transcending this. Shantam cha tad atitam cha param brahma tad uchyate. What is param brahma? That is shanta. There is no bheda, sukha, dukkha. This Veda also is not there. Subject-object Veda is not there. It is tadatitam, means it is transcending the Vidya Vishayam Brahma also. It is transcending Vidya. That is why I am repeatedly saying Vidya removes the avidya. Then whatever remains, that is the truth. It cannot be expressed. It cannot be... If it is expressed by any concept, that it becomes an object. It is not the revealer. It becomes the revealed. I think by now you should be able to understand all this. So many times I have been telling. So I am not going into details of everything. So this is what we will read it once more. Actually here we can just compare the Bhagavad Gita also. 6th chapter, 19th onwards, you see. 6th chapter Bhagavad Gita. Yatha deepo nivatastho nengate sopama smrita yogino yata chittasya yunjato yogamatmanaha. He is giving an example, illustration of a yogi who has attained the yoga. Yoginaha yata chittasya yunjataha yogamatmanaha. When they are merged in the Atma, what is it like? Yatha deepo nivatastho nengate sopama smrita. It is like a lamp where there is no current, there is no wind. Air is there, otherwise it will not blaze. But there is no wind. So how is the flame? You try to imagine the flame. There is no oscillation, nothing. It's not moving at all. It's a still flame. But is it not still radiating? Silent radiations are still coming. Exactly that is the internal state. That no action, no thought, no effort of the intelligence, no effort of any of the senses, nothing. That is this samadhi or not? Nothing. That also will spoil it. That is a wind which will make the flame oscillate. Nothing is there. But the radiation of the soul will fill everywhere, everything. In every also is not there. Only that radiation is there. That is the example they have given in Bhagavad Gita. Then what happens? Yatro paramate chittam niruddham yoga sevaya yatra chaivatmanatmanam pashyannatmani tushyati sukhamatyantikam yattad buddhigrahyamatīndriyam vetti yatra na chaivayam stitaschalati tattvataha. See again this illustration of the lamp, flame of the lamp. It will again something visual, something objective. So immediately he is correcting that although it is atyantikam sukham, it is the bliss which we cannot experience anywhere, but it is atindriyam. And not only that, it is buddhigrahyam. Right after that it is coming. That we should not make a mistake that it is something objective to be seen or to be felt by the indriyas. It has to be experienced by the buddhi. Vetti yatrana chaivayam stitaschalati tattvataha. Knowing that he will never be lost from the truth anymore. Once he is there, once he discovers his real identity, then from that tattva, from that truth, he will never get displaced. This is what Bhagavad Gita says. Saying that, he says, Yam labdva chaparam labham manyate nadhikam tataha yasmin sthito na dukkhena guruna api vichalyate. That by getting this, people will think that there is nothing more to be gained. Yam labdva cha aparam labham na manyate adhikam. That there is nothing greater than this. That what does it mean? When he feels that there is nothing more to be gained, what does it mean? Is it not fulfillment? This is the fulfillment of the abhava bodha, that right from birth we are suffering from the abhava bodha, the insufficiency. That is why we are running after objects, subjective situations, thinking that that will fulfill me. My abhava bodha will go, my insufficiency will go, the gap there, that will be filled by the happiness from outside. But when it is, you really come back, leaving the whole world, leaving all the objects, leaving all the raga-dvesha, leaving everything of the world, including your own personality, that is very important. The whole world you leave, but I is that the small I, then it will not happen. That small I will go along with the world, then only it will be. So you leave everything and get back to your real identity, the soul which is calling you right from the beginning. The Shruti says that, Shruti Mata says that, like the mother calling the playful child that you come back to my lap, but the child doesn't come back. He goes on playing, one after another. Finally, when he gets bored of everything, he starts crying. Then the mother comes and puts him on her lap. And the child becomes quiescent. It is like that the Shruti Mata, the Shastras are calling us, come, I am waiting. It is just like the river dancing from the mountain top. It has originated from the sea. That is its own real identity. Like with vapor it has gone. From the mountain it is running down. For what? It doesn't know why it is running down. But when does the running stop? When it meets the sea. Then the identity is no longer of the river. There the Yamuna, Ganga and all have become the sea. Nothing else is there. So the whole running stops then, at that point. Yam labdva cha aparam labham manyatena adhikam tataha yasmin sthito na guruna dukkhena api vichalyate. In getting stabilized in that, even the greatest of the calamities will not be able to swerve you, will able to destabilize you. Because you have got back to your own real identity. You have got back to your universal identity. You don't depend on anything in the world at all. That is why we say that a knower, if he finds all the seas are getting dried one day, he will not be surprised by anything. If there is an explosion which pulverizes the whole world, the knower's body also will be destroyed in the process, but he will not be surprised by it. Anything can happen. He doesn't depend on anything at all. This is the absolute independent state, sovereign state we look for. Yasmin sthito na dukkhena gurunapi vichalyate. That is why after putting this, that this is the ultimate, that Shanta Atmani, this is the Shanta Atmani. Going there, that is why we say that abheda darshanam jnanam, where there is that real knowledge is where there is no bheda. The ultimate bheda is the subject-object division. That is also not there. So when one goes there, then this is the ultimate, which the Shastras are saying in so many terms. In Kathopanishad it is saying, Iha ched avedi tatha satyam asti, na chediha vedin mahati vinashti. Bhuteshu vichitya dhiraha pretyasman lokad amrita bhavanti. Iha ched avedit atha satyamasti, na chediha vedin mahati vinashti. If this truth is known in this life, in this world, in this body, then truthful is our life. Na chediha vedin mahati vinashti. If you don't realize the truth, then colossal is the loss. Bhuteshu bhuteshu vichitya dhiraha pretya asman lokad amrita bhavanti. The dhiraha, the wise people finding this truth in everything, everywhere, finding this truth, they transcend the worldliness, not the world, transcend the worldliness and become immortal. What is worldliness? Worldliness is causality, worldliness is fragmentedness, worldliness is small, big, etc. So, transcending the worldliness, they become Amrita, immortal. Next verse. This is a great verse of Kathopanishad, quoted everywhere. Somerset Maugham has taken from here in his Razor's Edge, the novel, he has taken from Kathopanishad. Uttishtata jagrata
उत्तिष्ठत जाग्रत
prapya varan nibodhata
प्राप्य वरान् निबोधत
shurasya dhara nishita duratyaya
क्षुरस्य धारा निशिता दुरत्यया
durgam pathastat
दुर्गं पथस्तत्
kavayo vadanti
कवयो वदन्ति
उत्तिष्ठता जाग्रता प्राप्य वरान् निबोधता
उत्तिष्ठत जाग्रत प्राप्य वरान् निबोधत
क्षुरस्य धारा निशिता दुरत्यया
क्षुरस्य धारा निशिता दुरत्यया
दुर्गम पथस्तत् कवयो वदन्ति.
दुर्गं पथस्तत् कवयो वदन्ति.
He says उत्तिष्ठता जाग्रता प्राप्य वरान् निबोधता. Arise, awake. Arise from what? Get up. Be effortful. Try to attain this. Jagrata means the moha nidra you are undergoing, the sleep of delusion you are in. Get awakened from that. Uttishtata jagrata. Prapya varan nibodhata. Find out the knower, the great knower. Varan means those who are shreshthas, Mahatmas. Find out the knower. Prapya varan nibodhata. For what? Nibodhata means nisheshena bodhata. That means till you are doubtless, you have attained it. Look for somebody who will carry you by, who will take you by hand, who out of compassion, who has crossed over the world and who will take you by hand and take you to the other bank, other shore. Why he is saying? Shurasya dhara nishita duratyaya durgam pathastat kavayo vadanti. Because this path is like the sharpened edge of a razor. It is not only a razor's edge, but nishita. Nishita means it has been sharpened further. It is a sharpened edge of a razor. Duratyaya, that means it's very difficult to cross over. Then he is further adding that it's not only difficult to cross over, durgam, it is even difficult to walk a few steps on it, because it is so sharp that you will fall this way or that way. You will not know the path. So take the help of somebody who will guide you on this path. Who says? Kavayohu vadanti. All the people who have crossed over, who have become known, they say that it is so. Now, is it to threaten us that they are saying it is difficult, like the razor's edge? It is very difficult to even walk over. No, it is a caution given. Caution to whom? To our egoistic self, egoistic intelligence. You will find most of the cases people think that for all other subjects, even English and Hindi has to be learned from a teacher. But this swaswarupa tattva, that about our real self, I don't need a teacher. Why does he say? Because our ego is not ready to accept anybody because this is a path which we do not know. So you have to go to somebody who will know better than you where lies your goal. Otherwise, how can you depend on him? When you go to a teacher, this is he is taking your life, the responsibility of your life to lead you. So you must have the faith that he knows where lies my auspicious goal better than me. Without that faith, you cannot take to him. So naturally, people refuse to take to that. So he is cautioning that no, don't take to anybody and everybody. We are not saying that. Prapya varan. You have to look for a vara, a shrestha, who does not want anything from the world at all, who only he has crossed over this worldly ocean and he will be happy if others also cross over. He has no other motivation. He is not looking for anything else from you at all. He only wants him to cross over and become like him. He thinks that the people are suffering for nothing. They are suffering uselessly, just out of ignorance. So he tries to take them across. Viveka Chudamani describes beautifully about the conversation of the Guru Shishya. There, he describes that how a guru should be, how a proper guru should be. Even Mundakopanishad also has, here also there are there. We will come to that. In Jagrata, that Mandukya Upanishad says, Anadi Mayaya Sukto Yada Jivaha Prabudhyate Ajam Anidram Aswapnam Advaitam Buddhyate Tada. Anadi Mayaya Supto Yada Jivaha Prabudhyate. He says this Maya is Anadi. It is because you cannot find out the time, the beginning of anything. Can you say something to be the when was the beginning of time? The word has any meaning. Beginning of time, if you can specify, then time was already there. Is it not? So Maya is beginningless. But it is not called Ananta. The truth is beginningless and Anadi, Ananta is the truth. That is, there is no beginning, there is no end. It is Nitya, always there. But Maya is always called Anadi Maya. Why? Because the Maya ends when you when you get the knowledge. When you realize the truth, the Maya is ending there. Maya khatam ho gaya wahan. So you cannot call it unending. It is ending by the knowledge, by jnana. So Maya is always referred to as Anadi Maya, but truth is referred to as Anadi Ananta. It does not, if had never begun, it has never ended. It is Nitya, it is beyond time, it is transcending time. Anadi Mayaya Supto Yada Jivaha Prabudhyate. That Jivaha, who is sleeping in the Anadi, under the spell of beginningless Maya. That is what that Jagrataha, Uttishtata Jagrata means you get over that there is something, there is a way to go beyond this Anadi Maya in which I am sleeping. Get aware, be aware of that possibility. Uttishtata means you get up and know that there is such a possibility. Jagrata means you have to get beyond the delusion, that sleep, you have to get over the sleep. For that, what has to be done? Prapya varan nibodhata. Shurasya dhara nishita duratyaya durgam padastat kavayo vadanti. Next verse. Ashabdamasparshamarupamavyayam.
Ashabdamasparshamarupamavyayam.
Tatharasam nityamagandhavachayat.
Tatharasam nityamagandhavachayat.
Ashabdamasparshamarupamavyayam.
Ashabdamasparshamarupamavyayam.
Tatharasam nityamagandhavachayat.
Tatharasam nityamagandhavachayat.
Anadyanantam mahatah param dhruvam.
Anadyanantam mahatah param dhruvam.
Nichayatan mrityumukhat pramuchyate.
Nichayatan mrityumukhat pramuchyate.
See, Anadyanantam. Whenever they are referring to the Atma or Brahman or truth, they will say Anadyanantam. Anadyananta. Nichaya, it's a special word used here. Nichaya means knowing it as swaswarupa, knowing it as our own self. That is called nichaya. Swaswarupena jnatva. That's knowing this as our own I, as our own self. Only when we know like that, that mrityumukhat pramuchyate, he gets relieved from the jaw of death. Not that the body will not die, but body will die, but he will not identify himself with the body. Before that, he has got liberated from the smallness of the body. But nichaya, this is very important. Nichaya means not just the theoretical knowledge, it is the realization of the truth, that is swaswarupena jnatva. That knowing that at the soul or Brahman or whatever we are talking about, that as the I in us. Generally, they will say that while after studying the Shastras, we have known the knowledge, especially when it is done with lot of vyakhyana, we also think and ruminate and know. Well, you have known. But that whether I have known or not has to be judged by nobody else outside. The spiritual growth has to be judged by oneself. Any spiritual, whether I am advancing or not, is to be judged by me, not by the others. Now, if I have known, then mrityumukhat pramuchyate means liberated. That means we are not under the clutch of causality. Mrityu means actually causality. The cause dies and the effect is born. It is not only the bodily death. Everywhere the sukha, dukkha, everything is under causality. Everything is changeful. So mrityumukhat pramuchyate means he is going beyond this changeful world, that as we call it worldliness. So he will not be affected. He will not be affected by dukkha. He will not be elated in sukha. Everything. That is called the jivan mukti or liberated. So whether the knowledge has produced the fruit is the test of the knowledge. We will call it nichaya. Nichaya tat mrityumukhat pramuchyate. Whether the nichaya, the realization has taken place or not, you have to test from, have I got relieved from the fear of death or the affectation from the causal worldliness. In our Shastras, everything is like that. If the Viveka does not produce Vairagya, then we call it no Viveka. It is only English discrimination. It is not Sanskrit Viveka. Viveka by itself, if you have the Viveka, it should produce Vairagya. Vairagya means not clinging to what you like, not hating what you dislike. Seeing the world as it is, seeing yourself as you are, seeing everything as they are. Impersonality, an absolute impersonality and impartiality. So if the Viveka is not producing the Vairagya, then we don't accept the Viveka. Like that, the knowledge is not accepted as realized knowledge unless he has produced the Jnana Phala, the liberation, Jivan Mukti. That you must feel liberated from the causal worldliness. So he says, again describing the truth, after discussing the Nididhyasana and its final goal and inspiring all the seekers all over the world, everybody all over the world, inspiring them to take to this path because there lies the ultimate redemption. Like in Shvetashvetara, I have sung before also, Shinvantu Vishve Amritasya Putraha Aye Dhamani Divyani Tasthuhu Vedahametam Purusham Mahantam Adityavarnam Tamasah Parastat Tameva Viditvati Mrityumeti Nanya Pantha Vidyate Ayanaya Nanya Pantha Vidyate Ayanaya. He says, the Rishi sings that, oh, you all listen, you are all children of immortality. What does it mean? You are also immortal. You are children of immortality means you are also immortal. Why do I say that? I am not saying just like that. I have the experience, I have discovered what? Vedahametam Purusham Mahantam Adityavarnam Tamasah Parastat. I have known that Purusha, that Mahantam Purusham, that great Purusha who reigns beyond the darkness of ignorance. Tameva viditva atimrityumeti. By knowing him alone, we can cross over death. Tameva viditva atimrityumeti. We can cross over death. We can transcend death. Nanyah pantha vidyate ayanaya. There is no other way in this world to attain the immortality or go beyond death. So he says, Ashabdam asparsham arupam avyayam. Ashabdam, asparsham, all the senses are taken. This is same as the Mundakopanishad 6th verse I have discussed in detail. Now also while doing the Kathopanishad I have discussed. Ashabdam, asparsham, arupam. These three are, that is, he is transcending sound, transcending touch, transcending vision, the rupa, akara. Avyayam, this is very important. This is not to do with the senses. Avyayam means unchanging. Unchanging means beyond causality. We should be always able to relate. Whatever I have been talking, you should be able to relate immediately. Avyayam, avyayam, you go on reading avyayam, unchanging, unchanging. Immediately it should strike that there is nothing unchanging in this world. Avyayam means it is beyond causality. The whole world is under cause and effect chain, and there everything is changeful. So there is only avyayam thing which is not material. The whole material universe is appearing on the consciousness. That consciousness does not undergo change. Yesterday also I said that when the snake is seen in the rope, has the rope undergone any change? The rope remains the rope. Like that, when the whole universe is appearing on the consciousness, it is not a material which has become the universe. The universe is appearing on the consciousness. So the consciousness does not undergo any change at all. It is called vivarta srishti. This without causal srishti, without causality, material causality, where the cause does not undergo any change, we call it vivarta. It is apparent. It means apparential srishti, that the whole thing is visible on that. The grossness is an appearance, the subtlety is an appearance. Whatever I am speaking as appearance is an appearance. Whatever we are talking about, mithya, satya, everything is an appearance. All are concepts of the mind. So the truth is beyond everything when we transcend all the words. Manasai vedam aptabhyam. In one place they are saying it has to be attained by the mind. Manasaiva idam aptabhyam. It has to be grasped by the mind. In another place he will say, yan manasa na manute yenahur manomatam. It cannot be thought about by the mind. So then what is the meaning of the manasai vedam aptabhyam? It is by the shuddha mind which is no longer looking for an objective experience. Such mind only can attain it. So they will talk in contradictory terms like that. Avyayam means which is unchanging, uncausal, uncaused, not giving, which is uncaused means it will not give any effect also. If it is uncaused, it will not produce any effect also. Because then again it is linked by the causal chain. You will ask what is the cause of that. It is giving the appearance of the world without any material causal effect. That we should understand. Tatha arasam. Arasam means without any taste. Without any taste. That is another sense perception. Nityam agandhavatya yat. Nityam. Nityam means eternal. This again means there is nothing nityam in this world at all. Nityam is only the consciousness. This nityam and avyayam, these are not sensory expression. These are buddhi expressions. That in the buddhi, don't try to limit it by time or by space. Avyayam anityam, avyayam nityam means eternal and unchanging. That means it is not under any limitation of causality or time or anything. Agandhavat, that means even the last one, the fifth sense, the ghrana, smell. It doesn't have, it transcends that also. Anadi anantam, that means it transcends time. There is no adi, no anta. It is transcending time. You know, this linear time is a Western concept, science. Beginning and end of time. We don't, in our Shastras, we don't have to bother about the beginning or end of time. In our Shastras, time is a cyclical, circular concept. Later on, Western people also will come to that. Time is not that. Just now I said it is foolish. That beginning, if it is there, the time was already existing. How can you say a beginning of time or end of time? So, time is directly connected with causality. Cause and effect. Whatever is preceding in time, we are calling cause. Whatever is following in time, we are calling it effect. This causal chain and time, they are all together is creating the whole delusion of the world. So, time, causality, these are all cyclical. Anything happening in the world is cyclical. That is why when Brahma appeared before Rama, Rama asked, Brahma declared that I am Brahma. He said, which number? Because Brahmanda, also the universe, it is cyclical. One Brahmanda will, maybe there are trillions of years it will live, but that is only a scale in the time. We have no problem with that. Trillions and billions, we have no problem. It is all in the time. They are all in the conceptual level. So the universe also, it is going, so many Brahmas are there, so many Brahmas have been there. They should not be egoistic that I am the only Brahma in this world. There have been so many Brahmas. So our concept of time is cyclical. This is one of the great things in our contribution. Anadyanantam mahatah param dhruvam. And it is even beyond the Mahat Tattva. Mahat Tattva means the cosmic intelligence. Because our thoughts, egoistic thought, Veshti Chinta can go only up to the cosmic intelligence, up to which the I or the ego is there. And there is a difference of subject and object. It is Mahatah Param. It transcends that Mahat Tattva also. Dhruvam. That is how it is unchanging, fixed, constant. Nichaya tat mrityumukhat pramuchyate. Only by realizing this truth as our own identity, one transcends death. Only by realizing this truth, the Atma, so-called Atma, Paramatma, Brahman, or whatever we may say, that as our real identity, our own identity, when we realize, then we cross over death. There is no change, nothing at all. Transcend death. In Mandukya Karika, there is a shloka, Asparsha yoga vainama durdarsham sarvayogi bhihi. Asparsha yoga vainama durdarsham sarvayogi bhihi yoginaha vibhyate hyasmat abhaye bhayadarshinaha. It's a very great shloka. He says that this is called Asparsha yoga. Why it is called Asparsha yoga? Because there is no second in it. Sparsha will be there between two. That I am touching the table, I am speaking to you, you are hearing the sound. These are all sparsha of different. When there is two, there can be sparsha. When there is no two, that subject-object division also is not there. There cannot be any sparsha. So this yoga is called Asparsha yoga. Asparsha yoga vainama durdarsham sarvayogi bhi. Even for the yogis it is durdarsham. Don't think that it is easy. Although even a small step on this path is great. Swalpamapyasya dharmasya trayate mahato bhayat. Bhagavad Gita says, even if a little of it is dharma is attained, it will relieve us from the greatest fear. But asparsha yogo vainama durdarsham sarvayogi bhihi yoginaha bibhyati hyasmat abhaye bhayadarshinaha. Why? The yogis, they fear and come away from it by seeing fear in the abode of fearlessness. Why are they saying? Yoginaha bibhyati hyasmat. Yogis are fearful about this final goal. Why? Because they think I am going to die. Actually, what is dying is the small ego we have created. Till the Mahat Tattva, that ego still remains. You may have become infinite intelligence, cosmic intelligence, but the ego is still there. You don't want to die. Until you are so desireless that you don't have clinging to your that ego also. The ego will not get dissolved. So when the ego is really falling in that state, they feel that I am going to die. Actually, what happens when the small ego falls? He becomes infinite. And that is the abode of fearlessness. That is the abode of fearlessness, because there is no two anymore. From whom he will be fearful? There is no two to get afraid about. So that is the abhaye bhayadarshina. Abhaye bhai, that is in the abode of fearlessness, they discover fear, because the smallness is dropping. So they come back, they are not able to attain. Mandukya Karika, Gaudapada says, Aspasya yoga vai nama duddasha sarva yogi bhi yoginaha bibhyati hyasmat abhaye bhayadarshinaha. So all these are given to caution us the value of it, to tell us about the value of it, the depth of it, the vast result of it. So not to make us fearful and then, if it is so great, then why should I do sadhana? Let me enjoy my life as usual. Why think about the soul and spoil my enjoyment I am having? It's not that. It is to tell you the value. When you value it properly, you will be able to take the right step. You will not take it lightly, casually. That is what we always say, that this casual attitude should go. If you are serious seekers, this casualness in doing everything should go. We should understand the value of it. We should understand the depth of it. We should understand the result of it and take our steps, not considering it lightly. Then the result also will be light. Whatever we have value, according to that will be the result. Shraddhamayoyam purushaha yo yat shraddhaha saeva saha.